This is one of my rants I feel like we needed to talk about. Okay. Does it matter what my pits smell like for YouTube? No. In case you wondered, here's how the routine goes. I sit and videotape myself doing a selfie for about 10 minutes so that I can get a good thumbnail. And then I finally start the video. This, in true Emily fashion, I wanted to take these back. I bought them before my birthday trip. They're like Key Australia sunglasses, and they just were not what I was expecting. I got them off Nordstrom Rack for a decent price, $35 maybe. But obviously, if I'm gonna wear sunglasses, I don't want anyone to see my eyes. And also, these just are a little Farrah Fawcett, which, I mean, Farrah Fawcett is iconic. So obviously they're not Farrah Fawcett. There's something else from the 70s or something, which I love the 70s. So maybe I love these. I don't know. I'm still deciding. I won't wear them for the whole video because glare. It's been a hot minute. Thank you for joining me back here. Welcome back. My name is Emily. And I'm 40 now, guys. I just thought I'd say that. And it feels okay. It's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. But I've been listening to a couple things in the past few days that have really inspired me to say some things to you that are on my heart that I feel like are going to hit home for some people. And some people might be like, I'm good. And if you're in that category, then hey, you're ahead of the game. Good job. Maybe you went to therapy a little sooner than we did. I have been listening to the Alone podcast, which is fantastic. If you have any history of being single, being a single parent, being divorced, getting cheated on, any of those things, highly recommend listening to that podcast. Really hit home for me. So relatable in so many ways. But she talked about getting to a place in her life where coming home to an empty house when her daughter wasn't home wasn't the scariest thing in the world. And she could actually enjoy it to an extent. Sometimes she says she still gets lonely, but I had to come to that place too and learn. And as she described it, that alone and lonely don't have to be one and the same. So being alone doesn't mean you have to be lonely. And sometimes you're lonely and when you're not alone. And I had that in my marriage. I've been like that in relationships at times. And vice versa. I can be alone now. I can be here. My kids are gone tonight at youth group. They'll be back soon. So it's not like I have like a whole night to myself. But when they're at their dad's and it's during the week, it's actually like refreshing for me. I don't have a lot of downtime. Like those kids are running me around every single night. And I have things that I do on the weekends. And, you know, it's a busy life that we have here. So I enjoy my downtime. And it took me a while to get there. And it took me a while to not want to have a plan to go out and do something like every free night that I had or be on a date. Oh man, the thought of it. Like my heart is open to meeting someone at some point in my life, but the whole like going on dates thing, no. It's so time consuming. I don't mean to sound like a bee, but like it's so time consuming. I've just resorted to like talking on the phone first and just let's see if we're in the least bit compatible because, you know, I don't have time to like go on a 2-hour date to just figure out that, yeah, you're lovely to talk to, but we'll probably never end up together. Just being real. The other thing that inspired me was listening to the Armchair Expert podcast with Dax Shepard. If you haven't listened to that, it is probably my number 2 favorite podcast, maybe number 1. I'm a true crime junkie, so I always love those, but this is an ongoing podcast. He has awesome guests. Dax Shepard, if you don't know who that is, he played Crosby on Parenthood. That's probably his most famous character. He's been in movies. He's married to Kristen Bell, who you probably know who she is. And she's the voice of Elsa in Frozen, right? He is just really intellectual. He went to school for anthropology at one point, and he just like gets really in depth with people and like on their backgrounds, their childhood issues, and gets heady and like shares his own stuff. And I just love that. I love his authenticity and that he's vulnerable and shares things that he's struggled with, and even on an ongoing basis, like things that would normally be like embarrassing for someone to share, he'll like talk about it and just misperceptions that he has about people or himself. his relationships, all sorts of things. So anyway, check it out if you haven't already. He was interviewing Gwyneth Paltrow, and she talked about, he asked her about how she feels going into this. She's on, I believe it's her second marriage, and the man that she's currently married to, she's divorced from the lead singer of Coldplay. She talked about now being more capable of being in a healthy relationship because she's over 40 now, and she doesn't look in the mirror and like pick herself apart like she did before. And that the story that she told herself, and that so many of us tell ourselves, is that we're unlovable. And those fears are triggered within us when we have an intimate relationship with somebody. And it's really hard to have intimate relationships with people because it's like a magnifying glass or a mirror showing us what our flaws are right back to us. It's somebody that we let in our lives, and there's always that chance that they figure out the thing that we are so afraid that they're going to figure out. Well, they do, because you can't hide that kind of stuff. But when you're like truly with someone that you are meant to be with, or that you've committed to be with and they've committed to be with you, then that's a place, or should be a place, where you can open up. But it can be really scary, and it just was fascinating listening to her talk about that, especially the being less critical of herself at this point in her life. And I'm finding myself getting there more and more. I'm not at a weight that I want to be at, but I'm not at a place where I'm beating myself up. I'm not feeling inadequate because of it. I'm just feeling like I want my clothes to fit better and I want to look cute this summer. But do I feel like I'm less lovable because I have this extra weight on me? No. Do I feel like I'm less desirable? No. Do I feel still confident in general? Yeah, I do. And it took so much time to get there. And I don't know that it's just an age thing. I mean, I went through a lot of therapy, as you guys know, and I lost weight, and I felt like I had valid opinions at a certain point. YouTube, I've been able to talk and feel validated and just feel like I could share a lot of myself. And I was thinking about this today, and I've had people that I've like pissed off, or that I've had like leave me as a friend. And I think it's important, and not a goal by any means. Like, it makes me sad to see certain people leave my life, and it makes me happy to see other people leave my life. Toxic crap, I don't need it. But like, it's important, I think, that you do see that, because that means you're growing. That means that you stand for something, because you won't please everyone, and you won't be everyone's cup of tea, so to speak, as I've said so many times. Be opinionated. Stand for the things that you want to stand for. Say what you want to say. I have a really bad habit of prefacing everything with, I know this is going to make some people mad. It's just like, yeah, it is. Like, there's always going to be at least one person that's annoyed with what you're saying or what I'm saying, if you're being true and you're speaking from your heart, because not everyone sees the world through the same glasses that I do, and that's just inevitable. So it's really important, I feel like, while we're letting go of those insecurities and while we're becoming more confident, to be able to speak what we want to speak out and have a voice, and not feel like you can't have an opinion because you are not A, B, or C. I'm not a perfect mom, so how can I talk to people about anything motherhood related? I am not a size 0, so how can I be on a YouTube channel and talking about weight loss, or talking about being successful at weight loss surgery when I've gained 30 pounds back from my lowest weight? How can I talk about being in a successful career when I'm terrified of the next move that I could make in my career? And is it right? Is it wrong? Could it be the wrong path? Will I even be accepted into that role? Will I impress people? Will I fail? Will I fall flat on my face? All these things. It's important that you go and you do the things that you feel led to do. You say the things that you feel led to say, short of just going and trying to hurt someone because you're mad, or like being vindictive. No, there's no need for that. But is it okay to go to your friend and tell her that she hurt your feelings because you want to improve your relationship and you don't want that to keep happening? Absolutely it is. And if your friend can't handle that, that's something that you guys can address at that point. I find like when I do things like that, you get a reaction from someone and you get more of their true spirit from doing that. So it's just important, guys. Don't feel like you can't have an opinion and be a certain size, or can't have an opinion because you're not doing all these things perfectly. Like, be yourself, have your opinion. You're lovable. I tell you this all the time, but like, I'm talking to myself half the time when I say this, you know that. Don't be so critical of yourself. You don't have to be perfect, but don't feel trapped in a place where you have to be nice to everybody and you can't say the things that you want to say. It's okay if some people can't handle that. That's something in their own heart. That's something, they don't know what you've been through and why you may feel a certain way. Or maybe they do and they still choose to be that way toward you, be hostile or be angry or be jealous. That's on them. And unless they come to you and you have a discussion and you guys can work it out, that's on them. So be less critical of yourself. Learn how to be alone with yourself and like yourself. And learn how to love yourself, and you'll be so much more lovable to other people. And just know that you don't have to be perfect by any stretch of the imagination to have an opinion or to be a strong woman or to go far in life, okay? You do not have to be perfect. And if you were perfect, there would probably be no use for you, because what we're longing for from people in our lives is to know that they have struggled with things and how they got through it, right? So ultimately, that's the gift that we have to share, is like going on this journey called life and sharing what we've had successes at and sharing what we've had failures at, so that we can all learn from each other and come to a place of compassion for one another. So this is one of my rants, one of my more philosophical, oh, I hate that term, but this is something that I feel like we need to talk about. Okay. That's what I have for you. You missed me, right? I will come at you with another video as soon as I have one for you. So thanks for watching, and don't forget to keep it real.